Welcome to Yerba Talks.
Welcome to the Aftershow. I am Max. This is El Gato, otherwise known as the cat. And we had a debate today. Aftershow thing stuff. Christianity versus secular humanism. Sorry, I left stuff sounding in my ear. How is everyone doing? No! Oh, yo. Pinche gato. Came really sneakily. So, Christianity, secular humanism, debate. What is best? What is rah? And it went a little bit frustratingly. Let me put that link over there, and you can join right there and come here to this space, and we can talk about the debate. How does that sound? I think that sounds awesome. Sorry, let me pin it, and we'll be off to the races. One. There we go. Sorry, I messed up. Which account? Before we do that, make sure to do the whole social thing, like, share, subscribe, send this to a friend, send this to your significant other, go to the corner, yes, the corner of your seat, and you'll subscribe to Share My Talks. And that way we can share the love for the channel. We have Isa. Hello.
Hey, bro.
How are you?
I just finished a bio exam, so that was what I was been doing. Yeah, well, I saw all your chats. I was like, shoot, I want to see this debate, but I just, I was doing my bio exam, so you're gonna have to educate me on what was happening.
Ooh, okay. I am worried for IP for Mike, Inspiring Philosophy, that he has a very severe case of cherry pickitis. Because it's this bombardment of non-stop barrage of quotes, and he cites this book and this other book, and at every moment throughout the whole conversation, I was wondering, why should we even care about those books? It's just, a barrage, but he never finishes to make the case for me. It was weird. It was a weird debate for me overall, I think. Specs, hello.
Hello. How are you, boys?
I'm doing pretty bombastic.
Hope everyone else is
Doing
doing well. Yep. Well, it was good debate. I mean, yeah, he likes to cite the books, and then I loved when he accuses other people of cherry picking too. Like that you need the experts to read the Bible. It's like,
It is a weird position to be in.
he says that because he says Christians want everyone to read the Bible, but he also says you need to consult the experts to do so, which not everyone's able to do.
Right. He argues like that. He always does that. It's a non-stop. I think the best way to deal with that is just like to put a stop and get one of the papers and go through it, because I heavily suspect it's a case of flat earthism when it comes to argumentation. I don't know. What do you feel about? Because you know IP Isa, you know how he argues. He didn't deviate at all. In fact, if you saw his last debate on this topic, it was the exact same opening argument, the exact same presentation and everything. So you are familiar with him. Do you appreciate that style of debating?
Well, I think he's pretty intellectual. I think he uses this is his kind of his it's his IP. It's his intellectual property. I'm going to use it like that. I think that's his style. He sorts a lot, cites the sources. I think this is something that we see a lot. We do see these types of things. I mean, from his position, I totally get it. We have to understand people from what position of argumentation they're making. Like if we were in their shoes, how would we argue this position? So
I understand that. The problem is that it's too. I think it's a deliberate tactic to just talk about so many stuff that you can never address everything, and even if you address a couple, he still threw 10 more things, so you're always behind. I think that is. I don't like that. I
well,
think
yeah,
it's better to
it's a
talk
tactic.
about. And
It's like yeah.
yes. But it's a tactic that I don't appreciate. That's kind of my point. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Thoughts on IP's opening specs?
Well, obviously he's been using the same one for 11 months, and it was a presentation, so we get points for that. It was an all right. Like he outlined his case well, but it's like, yeah, he outlined his case well, so it did that. I think it was a pretty good opening statement, especially because he says he's been using the same one for 11 months.
Right. Okay. I mean, I agree that it's proficient and it sounds impressive and so on. What I mean is that it's deliberately too much, and that is not something that I value. I think making less points and being more robust about the points you're making is a better thing than just the machine gunning.
It's I
yes.
looked at it. I was just reviewing it while we were talking. It's overwhelming. I'm not gonna lie. I'm looking at the presentation.
yeah.
It's like a million things that are there. It's overwhelming. It is.
And during the open discussion, it continued like that. Every sentence was like according to yada yada, according to this other yada yada, according to this book or this web, and number one, like on the presentation on the opening, he showed some of the things, right? But the problem is that new things kept popping up all the time. I'm citing this, I'm citing that, and citing that, so much that it's like a fruit salad, right? Like, who am I? Like, what is this? Is this just a quote machine, a cherry picking machine? How am I supposed to verify so many citations, one right after the other? We can, when we get when the video finishes processing and we get access to the transcript, we can check how many times he cites something and we can count, right?
I'm going to tell you
We can make a
something.
better numerical assessment.
I'm going to say something from my point of view.
You got it.
So I've been a teacher who taught children. So I've taught really, really little kids, like 3 or 4 years old, 3 to 4 years old. I've taught high school. So I've taught a lot of children. I'm a special ed teacher too. So the way that, and if you ever watch my debates, you see that I try to make things as simple as possible. Even if something's complex, I try to make it really, really, really simple. I do think, with this many points, it can be really difficult. Also, one thing I love to do, and I don't see this a lot, is define terms. And you'll see every time you see me come up to debates, I'm like, you've got to define terms. If you're going to tell me this
Yeah.
type of thing, I got to know what you mean by it. And you say secular space. Well, what is secular? America is technically a secular country. The leaders who run it may be religious, but the country's constitution, um, the way the system that it's run on is a secular system. So is America a secular country, or is it a religious country because the leaders are religious? What makes a country religious versus a country that's secular? If I have to see what Dan Barker says, but I don't know even if he brought that up. But I mean, like, this is the way I think. I try to think like a child and try to make it really, really simple. What do
They
these
kind
things
of
mean?
talked a little bit about that,
Because
but
that's important for me. That's something I would need to know. I'm like, what is secular and what is religious, and what makes a country religious and what makes a country secular?
the problem
Yeah.
is specifically today we had some very interesting claims, like for example the fact that separation of church and state came from the church,
My
and I,
best, no, no, that
and
was
I don't
huge.
know how someone can make that claim, like it's a
That
historical
was
fact.
huge. But even better was that Christianity was essential for the development of science. Ooh,
Like there are so many of these like grandiose claims on the style of uh, our Dawa friends that are because he can cite someone who wrote a book on
he
how
cited he cited
science owes,
Augustine for that claim
yeah,
for the church and
science
state. He
owes
cited
everything
Augustine,
to Christianity.
which
uh,
is just not true. Like science existed before. Well, they called it, I think, natural philosophy, if I'm not mistaken, back in the ancient days. But in Aristotle's time and whatnot.
um yeah, and this to take basically our functioning as we learn more about the natural world, that is kind of predicated on the scientific principles, right? But he tries to take that. And I think that what Dan did that was quite good was to say that basically do the same thing and say, well, that's all humanist. And that's kind of where the conversation got left off.
I want
Because,
to share my
Yeah,
screen. I want to share my screen for a second because I think this
yes.
really nips this in the bud. I really want to show this because this blows my mind when I saw this. Um, Look at that. Look at all those pages.
oh shit!
It's like a billion
I told
pages.
you. I told
Oh
you.
shit!
Yes, it's too
I
much.
didn't realize. I didn't realize. Now that Issa pointed out, just like I thought it was a lot, but when Issa just briefed out, I'm like, oh yeah.
It's too much.
And you see that was the point. I'm like, look at all the pages.
Holy shit!
Now that you shared, hold on, because I also have something to share.
Please,
Give me
please.
1 second, because our friend Basil was rage watching MDD again and said this to Dan Barker. This channel is crap and a vehicle for Christian nationalism, but appreciate your advocacy for rationalism over the years. And then, as some sort of, poetic justice, Basil got gifted by MDD a membership to MDD. So, that is so good. I love that. I laughed a good 5 minutes about the irony of that situation. Basil, love you. Hello. So then Dan was unprepared for the opening. He was more prepared for the discussion. And then he also said he came more to a casual chat. I mean, Dan, it's modern day debate.
Yeah,
Sorry. Like, excuse me. It's not modern
especially
day casual
Convo.
chatting.
No,
Yes.
it's not
No.
modern day convos.
My good sir. It's modern day debate. We like blood sports here.
Yeah,
Please,
yeah. This
please
is
come prepared for the next time, okay? And make a presentation, do something. Come on.
I've got to
Yeah,
say
that's
something
my
about this because
criticism of it. Yes, go
I
ahead.
have something to share because I was looking at it. Um, it was very funny because he reminds me of a lazy professor. He reminds me of a lazy professor who didn't come prepared for class. You know what I mean? And he's just like, I'm just gonna come and just say whatever I want, and we'll use our class time when I'll just talk about something off the cuff. And I'm like, this is lazy, dude. This is super, super lazy, man. And he
Yeah,
looks like the lazy professor too. You know what I mean? Like the what do they call it? Tenured professor that really just
yes,
doesn't give a crap. They're like, I'm already in here, man. I'm tenured. I don't actually have to do any work. I'll just come in here and I'll just ramble. You're gonna listen. So.
yes, that was sloppy as hell. Eric Burns said Isa yay teachers.
Yeah, teachers. I
Right.
agree.
Teachers are the backbone of civilization. That is, I think that is true. Um, so yes, Dan. Sorry, Specs. Thoughts on Dan's opening?
Yeah, he
Or
didn't come prepared, but he was still all right. Like he outlined that it's these humanist values rather than Christian values, which I would agree that there's something that most people I once are morally neutral with an inclination for good. Most people are like that, and it's most people would be against slavery regardless of your religion. Most people would be against other atrocities regardless of religion. So yeah, that was well outlined. Um, yeah, I think that was the highlight of his opening.
all right. Yeah, but a little hint of unpreparedness for the opening, but got better on the open discussion portion of that. Um, I think, and it's probably maybe my bias, that his question went kind of unchallenged, and his proposal of uh, basically Christianity hijacking humanist values and just saying it is Christianity because Christians have moved on, have evolved past what is prescribed on the text purely. I think that is a great argument, and like IP didn't want to talk about that, but I may be biased. I don't really like IP too much. His argumentation style is boring for me.
But I feel that.
Specs.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
sorry,
sorry.
Isa. No, go, Isa.
Yeah,
I apologize. The thing I just wanted to piggyback off of what you're saying. The
You got
issue
it.
was IP did work though, and you have to give props for that. He didn't come lazy. He didn't just come in here, didn't do research, didn't do work. Even if you want to call it a gish gallop, you could argue that there might be that. My man did his work, and he came prepared to debate this situation. He had lines of arguments. I listened to Dan Barker's argument in the opening, and he was like, here's this verse from Psalm. You don't need to lean into things. I'm like, don't lean into this. Don't rely on this. And that's what the Bible says. I'm like, dude, that's such an unfair, uncharitable way to look at the Bible. And it's just lazy, dude. It's just super lazy. You're not working. You're not researching. You're just like coming and just talking. And I'm like, I don't know. Like
Um,
both you and I have been debaters. We've like researched. We work. We come and
that
take this seriously. You know.
yeah,
that I think that if you're going to like, you should be aware that that's what the IP does.
yeah. And you get time
Like
to
you
prepare
should know that
beforehand.
beforehand,
Yeah, this isn't like high school debating where you get an hour to prepare. Like I used to do high school debating, you only got an hour to prepare, and you weren't
right?
allowed to do any research for the hour.
Well, yeah,
You
No,
were just
I
given
mean,
a
and
bits of
if
notes.
he had the presentation
Yeah, you have
available
time to prepare.
already, like, dude,
You have time to prepare. You're allowed to do research before the debate. It's not like high school debating where you have to go off the top of your head. It's you have time to prepare. You have time to gather some research. you know.
Yeah, it's been up for a while, that
Specs,
debate.
there's a bigger problem though. It's not just that a 1 hour of research or a week of research. There was no research. There was
Yeah.
no effort. And to me, that's like a big fail. I don't care what your arguments are. You're not coming like you care about this. You're just coming in and you're just like, I'm
Well,
too cool for school, man. I could just come
well, he
here and
just
just
wanted
say
a
whatever I
casual.
want.
He just wanted a casual chat. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you could do that. The thing is, that's cool. But the thing is, it's like you see the difference of how these two folks come in, whatever you feel about it. One
Yeah.
person came in and they're taking it seriously. The other person's coming in, it's like, I'm going to talk off the cuff. And I
Right.
just don't
Isa,
care.
hold on 1 second. Because that happened in the openings. Yes, the openings were very asymmetrical. But in the open discussion, this guy, Dan, basically did what the Christians do, which is claim everything as your position. And we've seen it. We were seeing IP do it, and this guy doing it also. So it gets you actually not very far when you go down that route. But I mean, we all know that Christians do it when everything is Christianity, even the separation of church and state. Like
That
it's a
was
weird.
amazing.
It's weird. I don't understand. Like how IP thinks that if it is a lot of preparation and so on, right? I do acknowledge that no one is saying it isn't,
Yeah.
but like, can we really verify all of those claims? It's just a pile claim on top of claim of top of claim and endless citations and so on. I don't think that's too impressive as an argument. Dan, on the other hand, was making more of a debate tactic that the Christians do themselves. I don't know. That's how I view the part of the open
I'm
discussion.
curious what you mean by that. Are you compelled by it, or are you kind of like, ugh? Like, do you feel the ick, or are you like, whoa, dude, that was like a smart maneuver? What's your take on him doing that?
On who doing what?
Because you were basically saying that Dan was taking the Christian tactic and using it against them. So do you think that was a good tactic, or do you think you're like, oh, it's a
Nah,
lazy tactic?
nah, I don't know. It's effective as a stalemate, but I don't appreciate that too much either. It's a weird debate. Like Dan, get ready, like be prepared. I don't know, that seems sloppy, yes, but he did have some uncontested points, and the overall IP, bleh, you know, doesn't the endless citation barrage.
Yeah. Like
It seems like a gimmick, you know how Winston Christ fallacy.
the
That seems
fallacy
just like
machine.
a gimmick. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm weird, I know. Uh, Apparently he's been running this for a while. So
IP.
Dan, I mean, watch if you can access that person's last debate, watch it. Right?
Who? Dad's
You
or
know,
IP?
minimum homework. But overall, it wasn't. Uh, it wasn't an edifying debate. It was just IP doing his thing, and I wasn't
Yeah.
really impressed by Dan too
Yeah.
much.
He's known for his. I remember even his like shorts, and I used to watch a lot of his videos. He always has a lot of citations. I. You know,
Yeah, but it seems just that just cherry
Like
picking.
even his even if his live streams used to come prepared with citations.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't like that way of arguing. I prefer to make maybe one citation and build a proper argument based on something
So
more
I think Dan has some.
targeted.
I was looking at Dan's position, and he has some problems, and I've seen folks do this,
Yes.
and IP has the same, a little bit of the same issue in the sense,
Yes.
what is Christian and what is Jewish? Because there is a difference here. What Dan is critiquing is he's critiquing Jewish theology. He's critiquing the Jewish history. He's not really critiquing Christianity because Christianity does not really, what the Hebrew scriptures are, is just sort of like a hallmark of where Christ is coming into. It's not that important, for the Christian. The Hebrew scriptures are just kind of like a memory of the past, and all the importance parts are saying that Christ is coming and it's going to save us from this dark world that exists. The idea of saying, well, look, and first of all, he said interracial marriage. That's false. And it shows that Dan Barker really doesn't understand Hebrew scriptures. He doesn't really understand this text. There wasn't really race. This race concept is a new structure. The problem of what was banned, and I've explained this before on a previous site, and this is how you can tell the difference between a person who knows about religion versus someone who doesn't. The problem that existed in that situation at that time was the issue of worshiping multiple gods. It wasn't about the ethnic background. All these people were Middle Eastern people. It's not about their ethnicity. The problem was the Israelites could not get intimately involved with other women who were not worshiping God. It was not about their ethnicity. It was about their theology. So it's the same thing. Solomon gets critiqued. The King Solomon or Prophet Solomon, however you want to take it. He gets critiqued because he has 1,000 wives, and he goes and yes.
That is the theological response, right? I understand that part. But isn't it fair? And that I don't think Dan would have said this. But God says in the Old Testament again and again and again that the law is forever. Right? So isn't that like a contradiction in of itself? But I don't think Dan would have said anything like this.
If I wanted to prove that God favors one race or is or promotes race, I would have looked at the Tower of Babel where he specifically says, "I'm going to make all the race of the earth speak different languages and sow discord between them." I would have pointed to the Tower of Babel.
Isa, hold on. Answer. Do you think that textually they have a justification for that doctrine?
Well, they have a lot of different kinds of things, because if you take a kind of the Jewish position, the idea of the Trinity would be heresy. Do you get what I mean?
Yes.
So like you're dealing with, of course, there's going to be a lot of re-evaluating and engaging on different kinds
that will
of
get
cases.
us, for example, to is there a textual justification for the Trinity? Those are kind of the things
I have been listening. I think that would be more interesting. I think you know more about religion than Dan does. Even though Dan comes from a religious background, even though you actually know more about it.
Those are the more interesting things, right?
He was very superficial. Every analysis he made, and this is where I think IP won and beat out Dan. Dan doesn't really know what he's talking about, and that's his problem. He thinks he can come in and just not know what he's talking about and think he's going to succeed. And I'm like, bro, you didn't do well, man. You didn't do good. I was listening. I'm like, there's nothing impressive about what he offered. You've got to know the stuff.
No, yeah, you have to go to like the minutia of some of the more outlandish positions and question and probe that.
But you would have to have knowledge to do that, bro. Like, you have knowledge.
But he seemed to know some verses, but not the ones that are particularly damning or attack, for example, the foundations of the Trinity or something more core than some of his objections tonight. I didn't feel well represented by Dan. Maybe it was just a bad, unprepared thing. but I wasn't impressed. And well, IP just did his thing, which I'm not impressed by that either. So, weird debate. All in all, um, let me remind everyone tomorrow, 11 p.m. Eastern. It
Or
changed.
10
It was
a.m.
going to be tomorrow, 8 a.m., but fortunately, it changed to 11 p.m. We have a debate between FTFE Craig and First Amender, or for those who are his friends, First Offender, uh, and Josh Monday, and someone.
Yeah, it's at 2 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time.
Thank you. That is, yes, we have live time zone. And Rich, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. I have to watch it. Oh, Raul Hilliard, sorry. And they're debating the same topic. Hopefully,
Yeah,
it's different, so everyone is welcome. And if it gets good enough or spicy enough, we may concede to do an after show if the people want
yeah.
it. So that, remember, go, click, do the thing, and come back. Any other thoughts that got your? I'm trying to think of some of the stuff that was said more in the open discussion, but anything that comes to your mind.
I liked how the Dan Barker, when they were talking about Christians developing science, he pointed out how his ancestors in Native American tribes used to also have like some proto science, or even where they'd find which plants are medicinal. And I don't know about that, but so for example, I did chemistry in high
Right?
school, and we also learned about our indigenous people, the Australian First Nations, and we learnt the same thing, that they were able to discover through deep time or trial and error, or whatever you want to call it, that some plants are medicinal and some plants are harmful. That's inherently scientific. It's might not be written down, but it's observation. Guy gets better from this plant. It's probably been repeated and it gets passed down. You know.
Yes, I think that saying that is just something that comes from the Christians is just foolish, because that's how everyone does things. Because at the same time, the Aztecs, they might have done a little bit of human sacrificing, but they were also building pyramids. So they're not mutually exclusive, you know? And Basil is already, you came now. Hold on, because I still have it open. So Basil, you made me laugh tonight.
Apparently, you didn't understand cyclic
Yeah,
universe without understanding it. Did this happen, Max? That you introduced something you didn't understand?
no.
Oh,
Basil is just super, super triggered. So Basil said this. This channel is crap and a vehicle for Christian nationalism, but appreciate your advocacy for rationalism over the years. Yeah, go Dan. Awesome. And then
I
when
think Dan
James
did a
came out,
horrible job. He did a horrible job. I'm sorry.
I wasn't blown away. And
yeah, I
then
wasn't blown away.
Basil got our modern day debate. So now, Basil, thought experiment. Now, let's say MDD goes extreme. Now you have directly supported extremism and they will come get you. How do you feel about that? And I like it because he's very judgmental. But now you're in on it, buddy. Now they have your money.
Yep.
Anything they do is on you too. Ha! Ha! Sorry. And yes, Dan, he did meh. I don't know what best to. But, you know, people are entitled to their opinion. Oh, look at it. Isn't that cute? You know that you're not entitled to more questions until you answer some of my questions.
So I kind of wanted to address this. I've been looking at this over.
You
Um,
got it.
oh boy. Whew. Um,
Who?
so looking at this, like the one interaction I saw, Dan really failed, where he said, and I think IP really shined in this one, where because IP knows the text, the thing was he said interracial marriage is wrong, and then IP took exactly my position. Because IP understands the text. He's like, no, it has to do with the practices, not their ethnic background. So Dan was wrong about that, and then IP brought up like credible sources, and then Dan was like, you should read the Bible, and I was like,
Oh
really?
yeah, that.
I was like,
Like I'm
dude, this
sure
is
across like I'm sure he's read it. I'm sure inspiring philosophy
uh,
he's read it.
well, inspiring philosophy knows it far better than Dan does, and I was just like, when Dan came in, it's like the laziness, it's just that's the problem. He's making There's no effort, and even if you're having a conversation, you should kind of know what you're talking about. Like I don't like, for me, like if I'm doing, like, I just finished an exam on biology, right? And I spent time studying it, and I did quite well on my exam. I did pretty good. I got like around like an 80 with two questions that aren't answered, so I'll probably end up with like a 90 something. But so I did pretty well, and I had to learn all this information. I had to know what basal cell carcinoma was. I had to talk about the sarcomeres. It was rough. Actin and myosin. I had to like learn all these terms, and I worked and I studied and I learned, and then I did pretty well on the exam. My man did not do any work, and it's just like it shows, like it's throughout. the
Yeah.
problem the problem is it's not just the beginning, it's the laziness, because from what I'm seeing, like, I'm gonna keep going through, but I'm at like the 2 hour mark, right? And then let's see, no, not 2 hour mark, I'm at maybe like the 40 minute hour mark, something like that, yeah, and 30-40 minute
Oh my
hour
God.
mark, and it's like it's
Leo,
really bad, it's really bad.
1 second. Leo, hello. Leo, hello, hello,
Hey
hello.
Leo, what's up?
I sent you a message on Discord because there is a debate that I want to do a review with you. Um, so whenever you can reach out to me. Uh, do you miss my super chat? No. Feel free to do as you please. Um. So Isa, how long
Oh,
are
okay.
you?
So yeah, I'm like in the 40 minute mark, and then they're talking about the Catholics and the Protestants. He's like, "Well, these people are bad because Catholics and Protestants
Ah,
are fighting each other," and I'm
wait,
like,
hold
"Yeah,
on. The discussion there, the framing was IP claiming that uh, that Christianity is unifying. That's why but the, that's why the guy Dan brought up the Protestant and the Catholics. Like, but not at one point he said the schism, and IP planted himself in the position of, oh, you're making this claim, give me the evidence. Like that conflict had any secrets about it, that it's just like it was a weird take from both
well,
sides. Oh my God, what is happening?
there's a kind of a dishonest maneuver here, though, and I brought this up before. You're trying to compare a tiny, small, infant, like minute type of ideological perspective in atheism, and then trying to compare it to all of Christianity. That's bullcrap, dude. Trying to compare secular humanism to the entire space of Christianity is unfair, and you can't do it. And he's like,
No, I understand
secular
that,
humanism is
but the
this
problem.
unifying, beautiful thing, and I'm like, are you
Wait,
kidding
hold
me?
on. Isa,
So
generally, yes. The problem is that IP was saying Christianity is unifying. So, I mean, he kind of opened the door for them to actually say that.
but the point is but he's doing the same thing that you can do with what Dan is doing. In a sense, it's like I can say that my Christianity is this really nice roses and rainbows. The Catholics and those Protestants fighting, those aren't real Christians. You can do that. That's an easy technique you could do. You can neutralize those people and say they're not real Christians. The real Christians are people who are really following Christ to the T, and giving to their neighbor, and turning the other cheek. You can do that technique. That's the same thing. Like if I say, "Oh, you're atheist," and I say, "Well, what about Stalin?" That's an atheist right there. No, I'm a special secular humanist. So I'm a really nice guy. I'm good and nice. That other guy, he's not like me. We're atheists, but we're not the same thing. It's the
But
same game. It's the same game.
every position has that problem with classification. So you have to be
I don't have
kind
a
of like
problem with that.
broad and
I hear
general.
you. I hear you. And that's my position would be, if I being an honest person, I would be like, yeah, there is no unifying term. It's like
Right.
in my studies, anybody who identifies as something, that's really all you can say. If someone says I identify as a Muslim, okay. You identify as a Christian, cool. I
Sure.
don't care. There's no it's a no true it's of no
But it's
true false spokesman.
the general thing was that IP said Christianity has been a source for unification, and just the sheer denomination of Christians
Yeah, yeah.
contradicts that, and then kind of panicked when IP did that, and he didn't really know how to get out of that.
I hear you. I'm just saying that IP has an easy
But
technique.
it's
You
a
say
silly
a lot of those
point.
people aren't real Christians. You can just say any of those people who do bad things, they're not real Christians. They're calling themselves Christians, they're not real. So,
I don't know. I would never make a jump to a fallacy so blatantly.
but a lot of people,
Eh,
but you do
Why?
realize a lot of Christians say that. That's why they killed each other, because
Yes,
they thought they
that's
weren't
why
real
they
Christians.
disagree, which kind of proves the point that there is no unification under Christianity,
Well, they're saying the real Christians are
right?
unified. All those false heresies, well, they're outside. They're just heresies. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
think that's the technique that I think a conservative Christian is going to take. But I hear your point. I'm not disagreeing with it. I'm just saying, from that point of view, it isn't falsified. What Dan isn't saying is not falsifying what he's saying from his point of view. That's why he retorted in the way he did. But I
yeah.
think what Dan said was ridiculous, where he's like, we are secular humanism is this unifying, beautiful force that just brings us all together. And I'm like, okay, I can show you secular humanists who are like, I hate religion. I think it's a piece of crap and all of its junk, and I don't want to have anything to do with it, but I care about the human being. In a sense, you could be a secular humanist and take that position, and in that space could really deny that person's identity, and that could be really hurtful, and it's not unifying. So playing that
Right.
game is not an accurate or fair game, and I think it's I agree. I think on both positions it's dishonest, in my opinion. You can't say secular humanism is this unifying force, because it's not, and Christianity is this unifying force. Neither of them are. So don't take
Ali
that position.
Ali
Sorry.
Vallejo says the problem here is Christians keep conflating atheism with secularism, and for some reason, atheists aren't calling it out. Yeah, that does happen a little bit, but we didn't get too much into the
Yeah, yeah. I
definitions.
mean,
Fortunately, they touched on it, but it gets so boring when it goes to that. Basil, you know what I just thought? That rather than super chats, you know what I would really, really like? If you answered some of my questions, right? That would be better, you know? So think about that. Um, what else? The weird claims. I don't like that. Also, that let's go. I am going to criticize IP for a little bit. Like the idea is that science happens because of Christians. That is just
oh my, yeah,
because
that
you can
was
cite a bunch of Christians say writing books about how science is all due to Christians. That is just silly to me.
no, it's
Uh,
like I said, there's been science going on before Christianity, like the ancient Greek sciences. So you cannot say something happens because of something if you can't say that B is because of A if B happens before A.
Right. And the scientific endeavor is what always led, you know, humans wanting to know more. That spirit of curiosity. There's a bunch of names, but I
Yeah.
don't think that is a thing on itself. Because otherwise, we wouldn't have got out from the caves or wherever we lived before we started building houses, and growing plants and so on. So I don't know why that always usually goes unchallenged. Dan kind of tried, but he
Yeah,
used
yeah.
the same reverse strategy, and that is
No,
was
I would have just said, that science was happening before Christianity had been invented. So
uh
how can it?
yes, I do know more physics than with it.
I mean, it's
Any
not.
anyone
I won't.
knows.
Max, I won't be giving you any applause for that. Like, it's
No,
not in the
I
concept
mean
that you don't
that
call
is
physics
like
and work. So
very easy.
yeah.
Very easy. Look, Basil, Leo asks you this. I'd like you to answer my question to whether he's referring to the standard model cosmology when he mentioned FRW, or whether he was referring to something unrelated. There you go. What is the Lagrangian of an equation or the Lagrangian point? No, Lagrangian.
I know there's a Lagrange point, but I don't know
I
what
like
Lagrange
how
is.
he loves to question me, but I told you that you need to answer one of my questions first, and then I will volunteer some answers.
I wanted to
Uh,
say one more point because I've
you got it.
been listening to the debate a little bit more, and I just
Yes.
I feel like so he brought up the point about the Protestant Catholics, and I feel IP accurately took a better. I don't feel in at least in this interaction, I have to go deeper into the debate that he kind of dismantled the position. He's like, well, look, it's political. He then said, look, if these people were completely on religious lines, why would the Pope then support, King Charles, who had Protestant forces? And I'm like, and I think the problem was that Dan's knowledge is not deep, and that's the issue with the situation. He just has this very
Right.
superficial knowledge. Like, you are a really brilliant person, Max. Like, if I talk to you about Islam, you know a lot of different things about Islam. You can go deep. I can have a deep
Yes.
conversation with you about Islam. If I wanted to have a conversation with Dan about Islam, I don't think we're going to go too far, man. I feel like when you say, oh, he's supporting rationalism, okay, that's cool, I guess, but the thing is, you need to defend what your points are about this. And I think he also IP brought up the bivariate argument where he's like, look, you say that I can't critique you by saying that secular humanism is a Stalin is the Stalin regime, okay, or communism. How can you,
Okay.
but based on what, how do you defend that? And it's not, the answers are not there. I know you would have an answer for it. We're just
Well,
looking at
yeah.
the
I
arguments.
mean,
I don't think my
that,
man has an answer for it, though.
no, that's true. The classification problem that happens to everything. Um, this got brought up that someone got arrested for wearing an Allah is a lesbian t-shirt, and I wondered,
Yeah.
where do I get one of those? Um, Isa, there was one additional thing
What's
that
up? Go ahead.
IP started in his opening statement with the fact that colonization of the Americas was a good thing,
Oh yeah,
without
that one
doing
that
and
pisses me off. That
without
pisses me off.
doing any kind of like, yeah, we kind of
Yeah,
committed some
yeah,
atrocities,
yeah,
exterminated some people.
yeah.
No, he kept it all
No,
like, oh yeah,
I.
it was.
It was a
We
good thing
came.
because they learned.
Hold on
It
one
was a
second.
good.
Let me finish.
Sorry.
Uh, he came with, the little tale that, oh yeah, we came down the boat and we saw some Indians and started just like launching flowers at them. That was
Yeah,
kind of like his fairy tale that he tells to
yeah.
himself.
It's such a fairy tale. We saved these people. We gave them education so they could read the Bible.
We brought civilization and smallpox and rifles and death to these people, but it's okay. That was like the first thing he said.
Oh yeah, it was very early.
It
That was
was
like,
wild. I don't know what a thing is to go around making that argument with knowing the flaws it has. I don't know if you heard that. It's at the very, very beginning of
it was in his opening statement, I believe, because it was in his slideshow quite early on.
Yes.
It was one of the first things he mentioned is the benefits of Christianity was that they promoted the idea of universal education because they believed everyone should read the Bible.
Yeah, you know where I'm going to stand on that position. I think it's pretty clear. Like, I think it's interesting when you're a person of color and you're a product of colonialism, you're not going to look at colonialism in a very good light. And when people try to tell you, oh, this religion was good, you're not going to like it. It's not going to work. If you're honest, you're not going to come in and be like, yeah, colonialism is nice and it's good and it's made things better. When you have SA, you have sexual assault, you have the stealing of people's resources. And Max and I are products of this type of thing. We know it very well. It's not a pleasant thing to us. We're very aware of what it does.
Yeah,
so
right.
I'm from Poland as well. While we weren't obviously colonized, we were occupied by the Russians for 128 years. Our country didn't exist, and they tried to destroy the Polish culture and the language. A lot of Polish they did the same in Ukraine, and then we were under Russian occupation for another 50 years. So, I wouldn't defend, even though Poland wasn't colonized in that traditional sense, it was still occupied, and obviously, so that's where I'm from. And then I also grew up in Australia. I've lived here all my life, pretty much. We also learn about the effects of colonization on this country, and it's very rare that you'll find people trying to defend it. Even I went to a Christian school, and even they weren't defending it at all. They were never saying, "Oh, colonialization is bad, but at least they got Christianity." There was none of that. No one at my school, which was a Christian school, was trying to defend it. So it's this idea of defending colonialism is,
without even acknowledging, there were some people just hanging out. I mean, some of them did some things we don't really agree with, but we had to make some room for Jesus. I don't know. It's a weird argument to make in this day and age. I don't know what else. Basil keeps crashing out about something that happened like 2 weeks ago.
The cyclic universe. Apparently, that's what you didn't understand.
Yes.
That's what he said you don't understand.
But I already explained why I said that and why it was a perfect counter to what Witze was saying. And Basil doesn't even understand the premise of that. So I'm just laughing right now. So, Dumbo. Isa, did you scan anything else?
I think that imperialist colonialist argument does not help defend Christianity, and you don't need to defend Christianity with it. You can separate yourself from it and say, look, Christianity is good in spite of all of these things. Like, if I was taking the Christian affirmative position, I would be like, look, why Christianity is good is because Jesus is good. We see his moral character and his moral fiber. This man did everything right. When he was in face of injustice, he created justice. And his example has influenced people like Gandhi and the Indian movement against oppression there. And Jesus himself, his ethos, influenced Martin Luther King against oppression. So Jesus, in spite of all of these people who call themselves the followers of Jesus, who may have done really bad and not good, the epitome of Christ himself was good. And I think that that would be a really strong argument. Focus on Jesus. Don't focus on these people who are flawed, because all of these people are sinners. That's what Christianity teaches, is that humanity is in sin. Just being a person who puts a cross on their tunic doesn't mean you escape that. You can claim anything and say, I dipped my head in some water and I came out and I put a cross on my chest and now I'm good. That's not what Christianity teaches. You have to be born again. I'm like, it's funny. I have to be the Christian preacher here. I'm like, being born again isn't just dipping your head in water. That's not what the New Testament is teaching. It's like a full, utter transformation of character and being, you know? It's not superficial stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the problem. Christianity as a culture can't really connect. It doesn't work because that's not what the teaching's about. It's not about superficial things of going into a pew and going into church and putting your hands like this and sticking your knees on a cushion. That's not what the teaching is. It's like being a complete utter transformation of your character and self. Culture doesn't really relate to that narrative. So I'm just like, because it's a counterculture narrative. Christianity is a counterculture narrative. It is not a pro culture narrative. It's not a pro life. It's not pro marriage. You know, I say this all the time. And I'm like, so it's weird when I hear people say, well, Christianity is this really pro culture and pro, science. That's not what it is. It's antagonistic to the culture that's at hand. You know what I mean? If you read the text, that's what you see, especially if you're kind of an outsider. You can see it's a very maverick position. So it's not a pro, homogenous cultural narrative.
Right. But IP was making the case that science happened because of Christianity, more like an absolutist kind of a way. The problem with that is that, for example, there are diaries from Leonardo da Vinci that he had to do a little bit of grave robbing so that he could study anatomy because it was forbidden to study, to open a corpse, right? To study them. So it kind of, sometimes it goes with, sometimes it goes against. And Dan did actually make the argument, but I don't think it was ever fully addressed that when people are doing that, they're just doing it with the scientific purpose of it. The fact that they are Christians is incidental.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly don't think IP gave a good rebuttal to that. He just kept saying science Christian, and citing this and that and this and that, but that is not convincing to me at all.
Well, and I think my position addresses that, because let's look at what the teaching of this space is. Let's honor it. Let's try to figure out what they look like. These people were not like pro community and culture and creating a society. That's not what the text shows. It doesn't show that world. It shows a world of an apocalyptic space, an apocalyptic prophet dealing with a really hellish experience of being under Roman imperialism and colonialism and trying to find solace and peace in this terrible, awful situation. That's what that's the reality, where your fellow brethren are being crucified at any given moment for doing nothing wrong. You know what I mean? For daring speaking up against the Roman Empire. That's the reality of what existed. So it's bizarre to say, Christianity is this pro, normal culture where, people are walking around having crosses around their necks and going into these spaces with crosses on the building and then praying and singing songs, and this is what this is about. No, this is about survival. It was spiritual survival. That was what was going on. Human, cultural, spiritual survival in the space of utter turmoil and the space of, in the space of probably being utterly annihilated as a people. That's what was going on. So it's just so bizarre to hear me anything about, a continual, normal culture existing from this. That's what I don't get. I can't understand it. And I can't understand how that's what's being promoted.
Um, Oh, Basil is super triggered.
Yeah, I mean, you should have read his one earlier where he said that apparently you lost the
Super
debate to
triggered.
Witsit. Yeah, apparently
Yes.
you lost the debate to Witsit. Did this? I don't
Yes.
remember this happening, but
Hold on.
maybe I missed that debate. Did I miss
Wait.
it, or did it not happen?
I think Witcher actually beat you in the debate because you could not explain the low entropy state. Is that wrong? Yes.
Yeah, that's
Because number one, I explained to you before why what Witcher was presenting a dichotomy. And all I had to do was to present another option that excluded both of his premises. And that was it. But that being said, you press me on that later, and we also delved, delved on that because let's say the entropy runs out, the mass will still kind of be there. So gravity will just take over, make everything collapse. Boom, there, done. Addressed. And if you want to talk to me about that, you know you're always welcome to come get your butt kicked. Um, Isa, the problem here is that you are honest on your take on some of these topics, right? Uh, but there is a like a bias when IP presents everything that with the strategies and everything else. I can I get as an extremely wit city vibe every time he speaks.
And I hear you, bro. I think the issue, and I think you would probably agree with me on this, is that it's like you're creating this kind of rosy portrait of your position, and you're not really giving the full take of what your position is. So you can use lots of fancy language to kind of show that, but you don't show the kind of liabilities of your position.
Right?
And an honest debater does that. And you're right, like when you're seeing Witsit engage in these conversations, I do really like, Witsit makes me actually have to research what he's talking about. I learned a lot because he said a bunch of things that I've never even heard of, right? So I looked at this stuff and I'm like, oh, it's like science from the 1800s. I'm like,
Yeah.
a neo-Tychonian model? I'm like, what's that mean? I've never heard these words in my life. And I'm like, oh, this guy's like actually a real person from a long time ago, and I think that's interesting. I like being forced to kind of learn and learn new things and be like, okay, this is what's going on here. And I think it's really important. Like a good debater says, okay, these are the liabilities in my space, but despite the liabilities of what I have, I still have a lot more to offer than your position. Like, you get what I mean? Like, that's the kind of way that you should debate. You should say, okay, I have these things, sure, but what I offer is still greater than what you're offering.
Right. Specs, what's on your mind? I'm looking for a citation for Basil. Oh my god, he's gonna be glorious.
yeah. He's going complete. Not much
Yeah,
really.
no, he's look
I think we've pretty much gone through all the big
he's
points of the debate.
spiraling.
I think I've gone through the big points of the debate. Well, good one.
Hold on, I found the article, but I'll find the paper so I can extra rub it in his
Which
stupid
which
face.
article?
Because he said,
Why doesn't he just like?
please explain to us plebs how you come to propose a cyclic universe given the current astronomical facts. And oh, you're going to eat floors so hard.
I wish he should have like an exchange or something. Like,
No, I think he's scared.
no,
He
like,
likes
would
to.
you? No. Like Max, I was gonna ask, would you let him on for an exchange if he man up?
No, I think he's scared. I would. I am down.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
it.
I think. I
Issa
think yes.
has temporarily ducked out, I believe.
Hold your horses, Basil. Do. 1 second. I'll get it, and you're gonna cry. It happens. It happens to mostly flirs, but okay. There we go. So there's a bunch of these DESI observations that kind of point to the cosmic acceleration not accelerating no more, right? So the expansion is no longer accelerating. Continue that trend, something is no longer accelerating, and what happens? Gravity happens.
Yeah.
Thanks for playing.
Thank you, D, for playing. Thanks for playing.
Yeah, we don't have an emoji for that, but that would be nice.
Yeah, but we need one of Nathan Thompson saying thanks for playing.
Yeah, you know.
Oh no, but that means having a look at Nathan Thompson whenever
Oh,
someone
look at
puts
him
a chat.
crying. You sound incredibly stupid. You sound incredibly weepy.
Yeah, why don't you
Crying.
come? Yeah, why don't
Like
you come on and
literally crying.
Yeah.
Dude, you are literally losing the debate, bro. What are you doing?
This is so funny. You're getting crushed, bro.
You are getting crushed, bro.
You are so out of your league, bro.
No,
Humbly.
I'm etherically displacing you, bro. I wanted to ask something else to Isa, but I forgot.
Where is he?
Where is he? Oh, look,
He
he
hasn't been.
appeared
Oh, there
like
he is.
out of you invoke him.
He's there for like 5 minutes.
No, I've been there the whole time. I'm on my bed, so I was lying down. I just did finish the exam, so I'm a little exhausted.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right. And you already got the result of that, like the correction.
Yeah. So
Oh, okay.
there's two parts that need to be like they need to be corrected. Like they need to be engaged, two questions. But I got
So
I
it's
got
marked
like
online.
yeah, it's marked online because it's an online exam. I got 41 out of 52, and then there's two questions worth like 4 points each. So we'll see how it goes. But I have like a 95 in the class so far. So
Oh,
Yeah, I wish I had grades
goes
that good.
95 out of 100.
yeah, 95
That'd
out
be
of
good.
100. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because
I wish.
Americans they like to change the grading
Yeah.
for everything.
Isn't it a bit different in America that like a 70 is considered not great, whereas over here it's a 50 to pass. That they
So
skew it that way, so that it's a 50 to pass.
so this is a community college. So I'm doing two programs, one at like a state college and one at a community college. And in community college, the grading works like this: if you get 90, you get an A in the class, right? 90 to 100, you get an A. So there's a lot of wiggle room for that. But if you get 80 to 89, that's a B. There's no B plus, or a B minus. And then you get a C if you get like 70 to 79. And then you get a D if you get 60 to 69. And if you get lower than 60,
Yeah. So
you
here
failed.
here in Australia it's different. Like I mean, it's not great to get a pass, but if you get no, like if you get above 50, you can say you passed the course usually. Some course will have some additional requirements, but that's how it works. If you get 50, you can pass the course.
Uh-huh.
Otherwise, you fail. You have to redo it. And we have credits and distinctions and stuff like that.
That will probably win a Nobel Prize. How do you explain the acceleration of the universe?
I am kind of
Don't know, don't care.
I'm
I
curious.
can explain our observations of an acceleration, but redshift. But that would involve Basel problems coming on here and allowing me to explain it to him.
What I what
And I
I'm
don't want to
curious
time.
about is that the topic of what we're discussing tonight? Like, I don't know. That seems really weird.
No, he's very mad.
So, like, why not hold that off when we have like a Witsit debate? Then you can bring that up. Like, I don't know. I don't like kind of like keeping things on topic. Like,
Yeah.
we're focusing on something, and when we get to that topic, we'll talk about it, right? Maybe God
No, I
Logic is
think he
rubbing
does
off
a
on me.
lot.
I'm kidding.
He has and it's him bringing up something that happened on another show about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
And
I
he's
remember
still
watching.
super salty about that and brings it up every time. It's quite funny.
Right, yeah.
especially
Look.
when he is the one also supporting the crap white nationalist channel, aren't you, buddy
Yeah,
boy?
yeah.
Who
He's like,
sends a
oh,
bunch of super chats and has a membership? Huh?
yeah,
Make
and
make
sent
that
5 memberships
contradiction.
today, and gave them at least $15 today to send free. I don't know how much they
May
charge.
make that contradiction go away.
He would have sent around. He would have spent probably 17 Australian dollars just on those memberships that he bought for that channel.
Oh, you seem to think you crush with it. I don't think I know.
No, no.
I
Like I was there. I can back that up. That's what exactly what happened.
I know. And then I talked to him again. Wait till you see the video of that. That was funny as hell.
I'm still waiting for a chance when he's on the Earth Awakenings.
I want a mug, says Catherine. Wait, no, shoot. I want a mug saying I love Sharma Talks.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on the sun is not object hoodie.
Oh, cry harder. Tell me why am I wrong? Because you keep crying like a little bitch that I'm wrong. Oh, you're wrong, you're wrong.
You don't understand physics.
But you forget that you're not explaining yourself, so you can try again some other time. And if you really are going to just keep that up, you're free to just go the fuck away. I don't think we have much else. We have a debate tomorrow night.
I
That
actually
promises to be a little bit dumpster fiery, I guess.
Oh, a bit of dumpster.
I actually have something else to say, so I went look deeper in the debate.
Deeper.
Yes, so I went deeper, further on, and Dan brings up, he's like, we are better than the people in the Bible. We're better than the book. And I'm just like, Dan, bro, even if that's true, you've got to prove that position. Better in what way? You have to define what better and good are. Just saying this, I'm like, you feel that way, and you might think everybody else thinks like you, but they don't. That's why many people are Christian and people are followers of religion. You can't just say these claims and then think that people are just going to buy your claim. You know what I mean? You're selling a bridge, but people are buying it. So it's like, I don't know. It's like, because I've seen him debate before, and I know IP irks you. Dan irks me. I'm listening to Dan, and I'm like, let me debate as an atheist. Let me debate as an atheist, and I can make a much better case than he did. And I'm like, and I haven't been promoting rationalism and secularism. And I'm like, dude, if I did, I think I could do a better job than this. This is just not good, man. The case that you make is you don't act smug and condescending to your opponent. Just we're just better than you, okay? Our theology, we're the way that we think, those people wearing tweed jackets and smoking their pipes, they're like, and have a cup of scotch, and they're like, of course, I'm so much more intellectual than you are. I'm so much more educated. I'm beyond your low class religion. That's what I felt. That's the vibe I got. And I'm like, okay, why? Why are you better? What makes your position better? Oh, we're nice. We're kind. Okay, how? Show that. Explain it. And you're just assuming that we're buying it. And it's like, and I agree with your critique of IP. I hear your critique where you're like, he's trying to sell this type of thing where everything that Christianity touched was gold, and we know that that's not whatever Christianity is. It was gold, like the Midas touch. It's not like that. It's much more nuanced and complex. And I agree with you on that. And Dan, on the other hand, was just like, I'm not going to give you evidence of anything. I'm not going to make an effort. I'm not going to try. I'm just going to make a bunch of claims because I think rationalism and secular humanism is good, and it's nice, and it makes you feel warm butterflies inside. And that's why we should believe in secular humanism. That was his position. And I'm like, really? That's what you're trying to promote, dude? That's what you've got to offer? I don't know. It's like every time I listen to him, I'm like, it's the same thing. And I'm like, it's bad, dude. It's really bad. There's no effort. And it's just it's an assumption that his worldview is true. And we're not buying that. You know what I mean? We have to be critical. And if we're going to be critical of the religious position, we have to be critical of the secular position too. So that's it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Isa, I wasn't paying much attention. Cause Basil is being a little bit naughty and said this. You're a loser, dude. Just a grifter, just like Witsit. I'm sorry, but you know that I don't really go around begging for money,
Yeah, he
right?
doesn't go around
If
begging.
people wants to send a super chat, they're free. If not, will laugh and interact with everyone and yada yada yada. So would you explain to me how am I grifting? And then said this that I am a cosmology expert.
I didn't know that.
So
Are
I
you?
expect him to describe it, and I don't know how dumb you are, because that's what I'm suspecting right now, like borderline bottom of the chart. I've told you repeatedly that I'm expert in two things, like music and English. And you keep on saying that I'm claiming, so you are lying, you filthy little bitch. You are lying right now, and you should be ashamed. Because in the Bible, the liars go to the lake of fire. That's just the thing. And oh, isn't that adorable? He thinks he can stranglehold me with money. Poor guy. I don't know. So not the best. I didn't appreciate the debate from either side today. I was left wanting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking.
And let's do final thoughts, and we'll be on our way. Specs, would you like to start?
Well, the debate wasn't great, but it was watch. I'll give it. Obviously, it was watchable. Like it was good rate watching. I enjoyed watching it. It wasn't well done, but it was interesting. Yeah, some good points brought up from IP side. A lot of studies. It would take us forever to verify those studies, especially the ones Easter showed on screen. Like that's probably an hour and a half just on that screen alone. But yeah, that's my final thoughts. Max, thank you very much for having me on. I will see you tomorrow for that debate. I'm hoping it's going to be good. And
I have no idea. I have no faith
I mean, FDFE is going to be there,
for
and if he
that.
decides to go vicious, it's no holding back.
Yeah, I
Anyway,
don't know what to expect, honestly. The people
anyway,
involved.
thank you for having me. Thanks everyone for watching, and I hope you're all doing well.
No.
Have a good one.
Look at all Basil is crashing out to do is to say like, you're stupid, you're stupid. Well, come say why here, because I can also say that you are stupid, and I can also say some other stuff, right? So do you have any final thoughts?
I actually had another because I'm watching it while this is going. You're focusing on baseball.
Yes.
And
Don't you love we haven't had a crash out like that in a while. I love it.
You're focusing on Basil, and I'm focusing on the debate. What happened to Basil's
I-
admin? What happened to his wrench?
It got removed.
Oh,
I don't remember why.
Oh
Yes.
no! Oh, that's why we're not getting
Because
good.
Mr. Good Sir wasn't answering my questions, and he's still not answering my questions. And he was saying that I'm wrong, and I was like, hit the link and come talk to me. And he doesn't. So I don't like cowards that much. And yeah, he got unwrenched. Too bad. Any final thoughts on the debate?
Well, from as far as I got halfway through during this conversation. I'm not saying IP was perfect, but IP was clearly the winner on just many different levels. Like every single thing that Dan did, because I was trying to grant everything, because I want to give the best steel man each person's position. So I listened
Sure.
to Dan Moore, and Dan was like, "Well, there's intrinsic human values, and it's butterflies and rainbows and unicorns." And that's literally his whole position. That's what secular humanism offers. There's nothing wrong with it. It's all just beautiful and accepting. And I'm like, why? How? Can you explain any of that? No, none of that explanation. Just the Bible's bad and my rainbows and unicorns are good. And I was like, this is bad, dude. Like, it's such a bad outing. And I think you were being a little bit too kind for this position. And you were like, well, he doesn't represent me. And I'm like, it's more that he doesn't represent you. It's like, what is he representing? All he's saying is, I like something and I think it's nice. I like chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream. It's so tasty and it's so sweet, and I like those little chunks of chocolate chip in my and the cookie dough in my ice cream. That's wonderful. That's great. I love that you love that ice cream. And can you explain why this ice cream's good? It's tasty and it's sweet. And that's really Dan Barker's arguments throughout the entire debate that I've seen halfway through. I don't maybe he does better. I can't say, but halfway through it's all the same stuff. No effort, no work. This is my opinion and I like it. And go read the Bible. And I'm just like, wow. And he's like, and IP, I think, really beats him in this one interaction. So he says, we need to believe in the intrinsic human good of mankind. And I was like, yeah, human beings have done some really horrible stuff to each other for a very, very throughout all of time. And then IP brings up and he's like, well, do you know about the Greeks kind of assaulting little boys in their culture? What do you think about that? Do you think that that's good? And he really just had no answer because
yes, yeah, that's I agree with that with you on that one. I forgot. You are 100% correct. I agree.
thank you. And I'm just like, Dan Barker, really, you want to talk about ethics, but you don't understand ethics. You have not thought this stuff through. You're very he was very simple. Like everything was very simple and very surface level. And I'm like when I think about my friend Dr. David Wood, when he talks, he he talks and he's very simple in the way that he speaks. He doesn't make things complex, and this is how you can tell he's like a really smart guy and he's an intellectual. When he speaks, he really thinks about what he's talking about. He really goes deep. Whether he might make jokes about certain things, like the El Zoot, that's like his big joke nowadays, and he get all the Wahhabis get upset when they hear it, but he knows it's a joke too. He knows that it's like an inflammatory joke, but the people are falling right in. They fall right for the joke, and I'm like, the joke's on them, you know. But the thing is, you could tell the difference between someone like Dr. David Wood and Dan Barker. Dan Barker is very simple. He doesn't really offer much. We've seen another of his debates, and it's the same stuff. It's a very simple thing. It's like, I don't have good feels, and I have happy feels and bad feels. And I'm like, that's very infantile, my friend. This is not something that is really going to sell. But I felt that, I'm sorry, IP just kept putting his feet to the fire, and Dan just kept embarrassing
Yeah, in
himself.
that one, yeah, he really had him on that.
He
He
embarrassed
the guy,
himself.
he's like I forgot about good catch on you on that one because I completely forgot, but I agree.
No problem. And I'm just like, I'm reviewing it. I'm going through it. I'm going to finish the rest of it tonight or this morning where I'm at. But I'm like, I just feel overall in this debate, IP just comes on top. And I'm not saying that there's not flaws. I agree with what you said. Your critiques are valid, 100%. I just think
Yeah.
that Dan had no substance. He had nothing to offer. So you have someone who has substance and something to offer, interesting arguments, documents being cited, data that's there, and then you have, my feelings. My feelings is not going to win. My feelings versus here's points, here's facts, whether they're completely true or not doesn't matter. The facts, maybe not perfect facts, and data and some interesting composition of ideas is going to beat out my feelings and not caring and
Yeah,
indifference. Yeah,
generally.
I'm sorry. Dan got the fail in this debate, and he even the last debate I saw him and he failed too. So, you know, I want to tell
Oh
you
my
one thing.
fucking god. I literally just replied this to you, my dumb sir. You are as dumb as Witted. You think that repeating the same stupid question over and over when it has been answered, like literally right there, it's not an either or situation. The data that I sent, that I submitted the link, if you look at it, it tells you that the cosmic expansion is decelerating, right? So it's not accelerating anymore, it's decelerating, and it's not contracting yet. And you say that I am the dumb one. Okay, sure. Sorry, Isa.
No, you're okay.
That's it.
I wanted to say something too about that. Like,
You got
I'm
it.
thinking about FTFE's debate with who was it?
Tomorrow.
No, not tomorrow. The
Oh,
one that he did
okay.
with what was the Dragon Arts? Is that who it was? He debated
Dragonite,
Dragon Arts,
yes.
and you could see in that debate, FTFE really is making an effort. Like, he has evolved from when he debated Andrew Wilson. Like, you can tell he's like, I have
Yes.
arguments, I have interesting ideas, and FTFE totally won that debate easily. Like, he smoked, because he obviously wasn't debating Andrew Wilson. He wasn't debating someone who's like very eloquent and knows the points and knows how to dismantle other arguments. You know, there's a reason why Andrew Wilson's like a top tier debater, because he knows what he's doing. And he knows how to appeal to the crowd and stuff like that. Whether you agree with him or not, he knows what he's doing. But you take someone like Dragon Art, there's nothing. He has nothing to offer, no charisma, no charm, nothing. And I felt that Dragon Art was very much like Dan Barker, just no substance. A lot of fluff, no substance. And I'm like, that's not compelling. And I feel we've seen these fluff, no substance debaters who really just bring their opinions and bring their feels, don't do the work. Because people like you and I, we work hard. We make an effort when we come out. We prepare. We don't just phone it in. And that's sad when we see people phoning it in. No presentation, no effort, no coherent argument to make. That's just not good, man. It's not good. And you're insulting your opponent. You're insulting the platform when you're just coming in and saying, I'm not going to try. You can make mistakes. That's fine. But at least make an effort. Try, you know? And that's kind of my 2 cents. What do you feel?
Yes, it's a weird thing. You know, I wasn't blown away by any of those. I don't know. It was one of those meh debates, right? The unprepared, like a mixture of a bunch of stuff that I don't like at all. The unpreparedness, the just constant barrage, the machine gun of citations. Like, the reason why I laugh about Witted is he does the fallacy machine gun. And the reason why I laugh or don't like this tactic is kind of like the same. It's just that it's just not just fallacy, it's just data, and I don't appreciate that. But Dan crapped the bed a couple of times, made a couple of good points. So I think IP debates better. But Dan had some points, and I don't think that they were completely addressed.
I'm going to try to find those points of Dan's, but like every point that I saw that Dan gave so far, I'm gonna go through the whole thing. They're just all of them were bad.
Well, it's the reversal, because IP was saying that everything is Christian. He was like, no, that's actually everything is humanist. And I don't know. At the very least, it's like, okay, if they get to claim everything, why don't I get to claim everything? And at the very least, that is a stalemate, because no one can get you out of that position.
But the problem is, even if you make that position, it's just like Dan had no real offerings to most of the arguments that IP brought up. He couldn't counter any of them. Like he's like, okay, what is moral? What is the ethical moral ground? No answer. Like what makes something intrinsically good? Let me show you this thing that looks pretty diabolical from the past. Radio silent. It was just like there were too many times that Dan did that where he just says, and you know what? My man scolded him. James scolded Dan during the debate because Dan kept talking about what the format of the debate was, and James is like, "Excuse me, you're libeling me, buddy." And the Dan's like, no, I didn't mean that." It's like, poor Dan, poor Dan. He had too many L's, man. He had too many L's.
Yeah, it was not the best. I didn't feel like actually represented by he. Like, for example, there are better arguments to if you want to if you want to put into question the logic, like go to the basics of it. Go to like question God. You can question God. You can question the Bible. As a whole thing. There's many avenues you can take. And you were mentioning that Craig has done a lot of growth. I think he has on the topic of religion and so on. He still needs to go a lot deeper into the scripture because I think that's where he has the most lacking in basic knowledge of some of the stories, prophecies, and yada yada, right? And I think that is where you want to take a Christian when you're talking to a Christian, at least to scripture. That's where it gets interesting. Basil is crashing out, saying that I don't know physics. He's not a good debater on physics questions. Oh, you're adorable. Why don't you debate me and we'll see how that goes? All right, with that, thank you so much. We'll catch you tomorrow. I honestly, I'll say it again. I don't know how that's going to turn out. I hope that it's cool.
Who's debating tomorrow?
A nice debate. But there is a high chance that it's not. That it's a little bit dumpster fiery. So tomorrow is Christianity versus secular humanism on here in this network.
Oh, on Yerba Mate Talks?
On Yerba Mate Talks, yes.
Okay.
On this very channel. And it's FTFE and First Amender, otherwise known as First Offender, and Judge Monday and Raul Hilliard. So that is what we have tomorrow. It starts late at 11 p.m. But should be something. Something is going to be. We don't know what yet. Has the potential to be everything. It's like Schrodinger's debate.
Well, it's going to be better than the debate tonight, though. I can promise you that.
Oh. I think you have a bunch of liberal arts followers who also don't know any physics. Oh, I think that you're a crybaby.
What is a liberal arts follower have
I don't know. He thinks he's very judgmental and thinks that one has to have, I don't know, some kind of perfect knowledge to make an argument.
Well, but
I made my argument, I supported it, and I also, just for you, Basil, I gave you the reasoning why I made that argument. And all you have been doing is crying, like, you said a thing I don't like. And yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask a question because you do know what happens, what a liberal arts person does, that they study everything. Like that's what a liberal arts education is. It's not just, you study humanities. You have to study everything. You study science, math. That's a part of a liberal arts degree. So.
Oh, no, I don't. I didn't know.
Yeah, that's how it is in a liberal arts degree. You have to take a science requirement. You have to take your gen eds, your general education, cool. Because that's what liberal arts are. It's not just studying reading and writing or whatever. And I think Basil's making sort of a conflation where it's liberal arts is humanities, like a humanities focused program.
He
So
doesn't smart too well when he's raging. And for some reason, he has a little bit of a hate boner because I said a thing he doesn't like about 2 weeks ago and can't let that go.
see,
Yes. And even when offered the chance to, like, some other people would jump on and tell me why I'm wrong, he would rather completely, like, crash out in the side chat.
I
And
see.
it is quite entertaining to see.
Ah,
So that's that. We'll see you, peeps, everyone, tomorrow. Before we go, make sure to do the social things, like, share, subscribe, send this to a friend, send it to your significant other, go to the corner, yes, the corner of your street, and yet subscribe to Yerba Mate Talks. And that way we can show the love for the channel. Basil, you supported MDD, so they'll come for you. They got you. They got your data. Supporting MDD, you're part of the problem right now. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.